Does God want everyone to be rich? Stay tuned because we're going to be talking about it today in this video. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be discussing a very touchy subject for most of God's people. We're going to be discussing the question, does God want everyone to be rich? We're talking about it here in just a few moments. Before we get into it, guys, make sure to like and subscribe, smash the bell. If you want to continue seeing more content like this, and whatever you do, stay tuned to the very end because I'm going to be revealing an ancient Jewish business secret that I learned from a Jewish businessman that actually helped me make a bunch of money, and it can probably do the same for you if you apply it. Let's jump right in, guys. If you have been following me for any time, you've probably noticed that recently my content has changed from ministry focus, worship focus, to now business, wealth creation, etc. And along that transition, there's been a lot of people that have asked this question. Rick, do you actually believe that God wants everyone to be rich? And I think it's a very valid question. And though I know where they're coming from in their question, I think a more important question to ask ourselves is, does God want us to become passionate and even obsessed with bringing value to one another, helping one another, serving one another, and even solving problems for one another? Here's a quick story that I think is going to bring some context to these questions. A few years ago, I was in Israel and I had the honor of having a Shabbat dinner with a wonderful friend of mine who also happens to be a very wealthy Jewish businessman. That evening, we were there on the roof, enjoying a beautiful sunset, having dinner. We naturally started talking about God. We started talking about business. And I asked him this question: why is it that most Jews, number one, have a business, and number two, they seem to be very wealthy? Now, it's a general statement, but for the most part, most Jews seem to be very wealthy. Why is that? Apart from the idea that God has made a covenant with Jews, I understand the spiritual side, but talk to me about, is there a practical reason why Jews are wealthy? Without skipping a beat, he looks back at me and he said, it's because we are obsessed with value exchange. When he said that, it was almost like a light bulb went off in my heart, went off in my mind. And I said, okay, that's very interesting. Can you elaborate on that for me, please? He began to explain to me that the law of sowing and reaping applies to more than just vegetation and plants. It obviously applies to spiritual things. And in this context, it applies to the subject of value. He went on to explain to me that Jews understand that when they sow value into the market, it is a very natural thing to expect value in return. See, we sow the seeds of value to reap the fruit of dollar signs. As he began to explain this to me more and more, I begin to understand, wow, there's so many false mindsets in our culture that lead us to believe that money is bad, sales is wicked. If you have a lot of money, you're just naturally greedy. Anyone who is trying to make money to provide for their family, if it's past a certain amount, then you're evil. And I begin to see, man, there's been so much indoctrinated into people that we don't understand the laws of God. In this context, the law of sowing and reaping. The problem that most people have is they don't understand that the amount of money that you have is directly connected to how many people you have served. And not just how many people you've served, at the level that you have served them at. See, because really it comes down to this. If you put value out into the market, a natural byproduct is you are going to reap money. That's how God has set up the world economy. In fact, the only reason why any of us have any money at all is because somebody somewhere sold something for a profit, and in that sale understood that they were actually serving people. Selling is good because selling is serving. Really, at the end of the day, guys, it comes down to just the game of who is going to serve people at a higher level. Think of it like this, okay? companies like Amazon.com, okay? Amazon, they are literally serving the whole entire globe with convenience, with speed, with products. And because they have served people at a very, very high level, then naturally they have received a high level of return back on the seeds of service, on the seeds of value. The same thing goes for companies like Apple. There are billions of people on this planet who many of them have purchased an Apple product. You may not be thinking of it like, oh, Apple wasn't serving people, they were selling products to them. Think about how the Apple products in your life have enhanced your life. They've probably made it better, easier, more convenient. And because Apple has served all of us so well, many of us have paid Apple in dollar signs and exchanged that value back with them. That's why they have so much money. The same thing goes for you and I. When we sow value, we will reap money. This is the biggest secret that I learned from my wealthy Jewish businessman friend, and it's simple. The more we can serve and impact the world, the more money we are going to make as a byproduct. My challenge to you is, what is a problem that you can easily solve for others that they would be willing to pay you for? And here's a little bonus level, okay? The bigger the problem you solve, the more money you can make. So here's my question. Do you believe that God wants everyone to be rich? Or do you believe that God wants us to become passionate about serving, helping, blessing one another, solving problems for one another? Let me know down in the comments what you believe about this. Thank you so much for joining us for this video, guys. I hope it was inspiring to you. If you like this content, guys, like and subscribe, hit the bell, and we will see you all next time. Hey, if you like that video and you want to learn how my students are making an extra $5,000 to $10,000 every single month, then click the link below and book a free strategy session with my team. You'd be glad you did.